It's time for Inside the Gamecocks, the show with Phil Mullinax and J.C. Sherbert.
So, how many of you would say you speak English fairly well, but with some difficulty?
Fat, drunk, and stupid is no way to go through life, son.
You play to win the game.
Now, let's take it away, J.C. and Phil.
All right, Inside the Gamecocks, the show. J.C. Sherbert, Phil Mullinax, with a real nice looking polo on today, Phil. I like that.
I'm going for my Lamont Paris look because I want to feel like a winner today.
First things first, some tragic news out of Charlottesville, Virginia. And we're going to get into the game. Don't worry. But I felt like I should say something at the start of the show about this. I guess a shooting within the football team. And unfortunately, one of the victims is Laval Davis Jr. Obviously, he's from South Carolina. So you guys are familiar with him. There was talk he may transfer back from UVA as a wide receiver. It was all ACC as a freshman. He unfortunately is one of the victims and passed. Thoughts and prayers and all that go out to the people at UVA. That's it's tough. Charlottesville's been through a lot lately, and we all remember the shooting at Virginia Tech back in 2007. It was a different situation, sort of. This one, one victim is too many, but obviously it's not a 28 victim deal like it was at Tech. But mental health, we talk about it all the time here. Violence, mental health. The world these days is it's getting scary sometimes. And so, hopefully they catch the guy that's the suspect. He's still on the loose. The FBI is looking for him. So, I wanted to start with that. I'm not trying to delay this football talk, but because we're obviously going to get to it. But I did feel like I should mention that because, it is a tragedy. There is, a South Carolina connection there. So I thought it was relevant. But anyway, so at the Swamp Saturday, and by the way, hats off to Lamont Paris and the Gamecock men's basketball team for beating Clemson. I thought that was a heck of a game. And I've got some thoughts about that team, too, that we'll get into here in a little bit. But 38-6, the Gamecocks offense, for the life of me, Phil, had no idea. I don't know that I expected them to go out and be a juggernaut, but I kind of looked at it and thought, well, Florida's really struggled defensively this year. I thought they put some points on the board, but no, they didn't put a single point on the board.
Nope. Could not exploit a bad defense, albeit fast, which is what ate us up. But not the best.
And Florida dominated both lines of scrimmage. Their offensive line was good, their defensive line was good, and they just beat the Gamecocks into submission. I don't think the game plan gave the Gamecocks any chance at all. I look at it and boy, it's like 8 in the box. Let's run it up the middle. It's just and look, it's not just me saying it either. I got a text this morning from somebody that covers another school that's not happy with their OC, and it's just like, man, the OC here leaves a lot to be desired, but boy, he's like, what South Carolina's got going on is on another level bad.
Yeah, and it's to the point too, JC, where nationally, every time somebody brings it up, it's like, I don't know what the hell this guy's thinking, or boy, that offense really bad, and it's just frustrating completely.
Well, it's the same thing, and then you finally find, Beamer likes to say, find some joy. It seemed like they found some offense last week because what they were doing last week made a lot of sense. Looked like a college offense. You made Devandy defend the entire field, and then you revert, and everything's now back between the hashes, boxed in there tightly. I'm sorry, you can't win in college football that way. Even if you have an elite offensive line, you don't. Ask Nick Saban. Yeah. Ask Nick Saban. That's why he doesn't do that anymore. You just can't do it. And then on top of that, there's overly complex stuff. I think the passing game, there's nothing special about this passing game. You don't have any. South Carolina needs to run an offense where it gives you an advantage, right? Mm-hmm. You got to. There are too many good play callers out there around college football that would probably love to have any SEC coordinator job to sit there and continue to run this. I call it the run into a brick wall offense. And then every time they find something good, it's like they go back to something else. Like you're not tricking anybody.
No.
You're not fooling anybody. This is not come up with a new game plan every week. And now, so Jaheim Bell's finally getting the ball, right? I don't know that he's a running back full time. I've always said I think it's fine to play him there, but is he the running back? I don't know. I mean, I would probably have tried somebody else. Because obviously you run Juju McDowell into a brick wall like that over and over, and he's not going very far. And that's not on him. Again, it's player usage. And Beamer had some comments about maybe, I guess, Dante Miller and Lavoisier and Rashad Amos and those guys probably they felt like they didn't give them the best chance to win. Well, I would try something.
Yeah. I mean, obviously you're not winning. So try something different. And here, and about that, JC, it was like, Satterfield and Hardesty have had, this is game 10, and you do not have a backup plan outside of the tight end, not a tight end. And, a guy that plays well on the edges and you can put in the slot, but you don't do that. You run them both. I tell you what, I fell asleep in the fourth quarter. And I'm not sad about it.
I turned it off. Yeah, I flipped it to whatever was coming on, or I turned it off for fourth quarter. I mean, you only get 189 yards. 48 of that comes from your punter throwing a nice pass to carry on Joyner. I don't know what the plan was with Joyner this week. It seemed like it reverted back to whatever. And fundamentally, the Gamecocks were very disappointing. I think defensively, that team just did not. The defense didn't show up the first couple of. I mean, they looked lethargic. I thought a big play in the game early. Darius Rush actually dropped an interception. When he first knocked it away, I thought, well, that would have been a hard pick. But I looked at the replay; he should have had that. Yeah, it could have been a pick six, and that would have changed and stalled their momentum a little bit. So that didn't work. And then all day, you let Florida's offensive line push you around. You can't stop their backs. Forget stopping Richardson. Yeah. I mean, forget stopping him. I mean, 377 rushing yards. And you know what? I'm going to be honest. I'm tired of seeing that too. I'm tired of seeing like, oh gosh, well, there's going to be some games Carolina gives up 400 rushing yards. Fix it.
No. Yeah.
There's
no excuse. None.
The two big issues last year were bad offense and can't stop the run defensively most of the time. And here we are next year. I mean, and I know there's been injuries on that side of the ball. And I know they're not ideal at linebacker, right? But hey, you could have, found the space to hit the portal for a linebacker or two last year. I mean, if it was that big of a deal. And I understand that, but there's other teams that are probably not, as talented as the Gamecocks on defense, even injured like they are, that didn't give up 377 yards on the ground to Florida or anybody. That's just a lot of that stopping the run stuff is just tackling fundamentals, heart, gap control, your big guys up front, winning battles, pushing the pot. I mean, and it just didn't happen. Credit to the defense for in a bad situation in the second half. After it really looked like the Bad News Bears in the second half on offense. I mean, I don't even know that scheme or play calling or whatever. I mean, that the play calling doesn't give you a chance anyway. But fumbling, stumbling, bumbling. Rattler after the game, Spencer Rattler did say that on the fumble that Bell had, where Spencer had to go tackle the 413-pound guy,
Jesus,
who I knew was going to be an issue. By the way,
exactly,
I knew that. I said that all week. I was like, make him run sideline to sideline, and then we're just going to run right at him. It's like an Australian dude, like, hey, man, you're just going to run right at him.
Yeah,
it'll be fun.
Eating up all your double teams. He's eating up everything, and then just rips the ball away from. I can't even.
Yeah, and everybody knows Eric Douglas is a good center. He gets them in the right protection, which I don't know that even matters. You got a guy out there that can call the plays. That's fine, great. But he's not the strongest guy, right? At center. I'm not knocking Eric Douglas, but you can't run behind him against a 413-pound guy. Now, Rattler said he checked into that play. Why did he have the option to do that? I don't know. I don't know. And so that happened with Bell. And then the Brooks fumble and the Juice Wells. I thought Juice was down. I mean, maybe he was, maybe he wasn't. Maybe I just wanted him to not be down. But, I mean, shoot. And those guys were just trying to make plays, because they don't get the ball enough. Juice doesn't get the ball enough. He knows it. I know he's not happy. And now Austin Stogner's disappeared. All right. Austin Stogner, who probably in a game like that, Phil, where your line is getting crushed, maybe a little drag pattern to the tight end,
just a little something.
Did Stogner not match up well? So Nate Atkins was the answer to this week,
And
we're
again,
run right at it.
One of those little,
running
dump
at him
off to damn Atkins that he can't hit. It's like, you haven't hit that pass, but maybe once all freaking year.
What? So now Stogner got like 4 plays in the first half. I'm like, wow.
Yeah.
I mean, and last week Stogner got a couple of targets, but that was it. So against A&M and against Missouri, Austin was one of the top player on the offense, in a lot of those games. Now, I'm not saying he was the top player against A&M. I'm saying he had a good game against A&M, had a really good game against Missouri, and then all of a sudden last week you start to see him disappear. Well, where is he? Where's and man, that's just another frustrating part of it is like you see players go have big games and then they follow up with nothing. So what's the deal? Is it execution? Are you trying to get them the ball? I don't think so. I don't think you're trying to get them the ball.
No, because targets are what tell that, and you can see they're not throwing it to him. Why aren't you using your players? I mean, what was the game plan Saturday? Line up and run it with Jaheim Bell? You're gonna run all over Florida with Bell. With Bell. Well, the guy that's not a running back
at the Swamp. Okay, fine. Well, that obviously wasn't working. I know they didn't want to go to rally mode early like they did against Missouri. I mean, God forbid rally mode. That would have probably been smarter. So who goes to rally mode at home down early to a team that you're favored against? Probably nobody, right? On the road at the Swamp, when you see it slipping away from you. Maybe rally mode. Maybe you needed to get him Spencer out of the pocket, get him rolling out. Something. There was no counter, and you look at it and you're like, well, at least try to do something to counter what they're doing. That's what football is supposed to be about. I don't ever see that happen with this offense ever. I see no adjustments. I see adjustments on defense at halftime. Sometimes too little, too late, but. I see adjustments on defense.
Desperation in the second half when you're giving up 24 in the first. I mean, it's ridiculous. What is he supposed to do? There's no complimentary football, and then you turn the ball over 3 times.
You just stick. Okay, defense. Now we're gonna make your job extra hard.
Yeah.
I mean, it's ridiculous. And, and so then yesterday, as I'm talking to some folks, I wasn't going to let this game steal my joy. And chat boxers, I'm getting to you here.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I wasn't going to let it steal my joy, so I went to a Bears watch party yesterday.
That potato salad looked right delicious.
Delicious.
I'm not a big fan, but that one was mustardy enough.
I had not had potato salad that tasted like my mom's until yesterday. And Emilio at the tavern nailed it, absolutely nailed it. And I'll tell you this. So I wasn't but I did spend a lot of time yesterday talking to people and asking people if they're okay and things like that. Just kind of like when I was there watching the Bears. By the way, I had a 16 parlay that I was playing yesterday for $5. Would have won 700. I lost one game, and it was the Bears.
You picked against them. I'm getting murdered in my pick'ems this year, but I'm in like a confidence thing, and I don't know. I mean, at this point, I don't even move them around. I just pick who I think is going to win. But against the spread, I'm doing pretty good independently.
I think I'm 9 games under 500 in the picks on JC and Morgan. 9. That's how bad I've been. Yeah, I mean, man, I'm probably going to catch some crap, me and you both, for picking that Carolina would score 30 points.
Yeah, hey, and well deserved. Hey, fool us once. I'll tell you what, JC, I'm not doing it again.
Either not anymore. Not as long as this offensive coordinator's here. I mean, he can't leave soon enough for me. But it's just at this point, it is what it is, and I'm sorry. I'm sorry it didn't work out, but it's not. And there's just nothing. And I'm talking to people, and it's disappointing because, and I hope, Shane Beamer, when he talks to the media later this week, and Sat and those guys, I hope you don't hear, oh, we look back at the film and we were really close. I keep hearing, I mean, man, and that's kind of what I got yesterday. Oh, we're really close. We were really close. And you put the film up and, oh, if you'd have just done this, how many times are we going to hear it? Okay, guess what? Your kids can't do that. That's why they're making mistakes. They can't do this. It's kind of pointless, But I hope just based on some feedback and all that, I hope we don't hear that this week, because I know a lot of fans are going to go berserk if they hear, oh, they were close. No, that was not close. There was nothing about that game that was close. Oh, you know what that game was? That was like Pete Limbo is a superstar. And that's it.
Yeah, and that's the other side of this, is that you get an elite special teams performance, because it wasn't just the fake punt. It was a blocked field goal. Yeah. It's damn, you've got one of the best punters in the nation flipping the field, returns, and then what do? Absolutely nothing.
You wasted it completely. And I don't understand, you got a lot of the same athletes on special teams that you do on defense and offense, and somehow, so for some reason, when those units get on the field, they look ready to roll and excited and fired up. I mean, you do have a coach that on special teams sits there and watches a film of the opponent and dissects their weakness. I don't think that's. I mean, I'm sure in theory this happens. They watch film on the opponent, and try to dissect weaknesses, but I don't ever see it. I don't ever see South Carolina, with the exception of like Arkansas, when like their secondary was hurt. So it's like, all right, bombs away. Never mind. They're getting pressure with three.
Right.
And Drew Sanders is killing you. Let's just spread it out. And it's not anyway. I digress. It's just kind of funny. Why are the special teams units like they are? And Pete Limbo does actually what maybe they should get him in on some of the offensive meetings and say, hey, what's open? What can we run here when they do this? Oh, well,
yeah,
here's
it. With this look, Pete, what do you think?
We need an Ask Pete. Okay, ask if you're friends with Pete, well, then you're friends with me. All right.
Yeah.
Nana Sports Chat Boxers, love you guys. Sorry about the loss this weekend. Krager says nothing to see here. Should be interesting today. Clint stopped watching the game late in the first quarter. Embarrassing display. Krager's like, do they practice? Clint says, I've been a Beamer guy since before he was a candidate, but if he doesn't make some serious changes to this staff, he'll lose me pretty quickly. Yeah, and unfortunately, I don't want to sit there and speculate about other coaches beyond the OC, which obviously there needs to be a change there. But I don't know that there's not more that needs to be done.
Yeah.
And
it's a critical off season for him, JC. I mean, you got to look top to bottom, on two sides of the football, and you have to make some adjustments, if not, but to keep the goodwill. Because even if it's just for optics, I mean, he's got to do something.
Yeah, and it's just kind of a fact of life. You're probably going to take a whipping Saturday. I mean, let's just call it it is.
You'll be lucky to not have 66 on the board like Missouri did.
Jeez, yeah.
You'd be lucky to not have 76 on the, it's just
show up, be loud. Who knows? Tennessee has not played a lot of road games, by the way, but it seems like all their games have been at home this year. But so maybe the crowd has an adverse effect. Maybe something can. I mean, this is another statistically bad defense with the Vols, but it's also a defense that's good against the run. So I'm sure we'll see handoff straight up the middle over and over again Saturday night. But you're about to hit a tough loss there. You go into Clemson, which is always a game that, if you take a bad loss there for a second straight year in a row, then the kind of the calculus has changed with a lot of people. I mean, and not just me and the media and all of us diehards, that listen to the show and get on the Big Spur and all that. I think like a lot of the other people that are just, that give money, that do this. I think that would probably say, hey, woohoo, alarm, here we go. And you can get out of it. I mean, Spurrier, and I think it was easier to trust him because he had this big track record and stuff, kind of like Lou Holtz. And, you don't have like a long track record of Beamer's success as a head coach, obviously. And it's easier to trust him, but I'll keep, in 08, that was a team that was probably that team didn't even have the talent this team does, which is frustrating. But that was a team that wasn't very good, that lost to Vandy, that kind of took advantage of a weaker SEC and got to 7 wins. And then, lost their last 3 in pretty bad fashion, blowout fashion, 56-6, 31-14 to Clemson, and then into Iowa in the bowl. Well, what happened that offseason was interesting because Spurrier changed about six coaches out. Like, I mean, a lot of people, a lot of staff changes. And that's when he brought in Mangus and Graham, and Lorenzo Ward came over from Arkansas. And that recruiting class had also, for 09, after that season, was Alshon Jeffrey. It was Stephon Gilmore. It was Devontae Holloman. I think Swearinger was the next year. Swearinger was in that class too. It's a lot of Justice Cunningham. So a lot of guys, that were kind of the backbone of those good teams, that Spurrier had, came in after that tumultuous offseason. So sometimes there's got to be a little darkness before there's dawn. Just let your soul shine. It's better than sunshine. It's better than moonshine. It's damn sure better than rain. But sometimes you gotta go through a little darkness before it's dawn. But I'm with you, Phil. I think the most unacceptable thing is to just stand still and do nothing. Quite frankly, and I've defended not making a change because you're trying to go win. I don't think it can get any worse.
No.
Honest to God, I think if you had a graduate assistant call plays and run offense for the next 2 games, I don't think you'd see anything worse. No. I mean, quite frankly, I think it would be better. I mean, I'd pull the Band-Aid off now.
I'm at that point too. I'm ready to walk to Wally World.
Yeah, me too. Let's walk to Wally World. The family truckster's getting left in the dang desert where it belongs.
Yep. Because here's what's going to happen is you're going to get a tow back to that damn hillbilly who's going to charge you $500 for absolutely nothing. Is about what we're walking into Saturday.
Yeah. Evening, $500.
Mm-hmm.
Need JC and Phil to talk me off the ledge today, Zach.
Oh, good luck, man. Good.
Yeah.
Here, we'll talk you off the ledge. We only have 2 more games, Zach. We're going to get, a couple of weeks of bowl preparation, and I would be absolutely freaking shocked if changes weren't made in the interim. Yes.
And probably some good and from what I'm hearing, I'm pretty sure you guys will, if whoever they hire, you guys will probably like, I would guess, but I thought that maybe you guys would like Satterfield's offense too, because it sounded pretty good. But look, what we heard is not what we got, right?
No.
And it's worse than Muschamp and Roper, because what Muschamp talked about and what Roper actually did, that wasn't the same. What Muschamp talked about and promised was actually what Brian McClendon ran. And we know that can get you beat too. But that was actually the best offense that's been around here in 2018. It was maddeningly inconsistent, but they went up and down the field. So that disconnect with Will, that was actually a lot less egregious than this, because what was sold to the fan base and everybody else was Lincoln Riley meets Joe freaking Brady. Woohoo, away we go. Hey, raise your hand if this has looked at any point like anything they do, besides maybe some smidgings of some plays here or there. No, and then it changes from that to like, and then you kind of get a red flag. I get this, they were doing coaches clinic when they first got here, and it's like, hey, your boy, he's got tape of the Dallas Cowboys up here at the coaching clinic and the Panthers and the Vikings. And I'm like, oh God, Please don't. I was like, well, maybe he's just, all these excuses. But look, by the Kentucky game last year, I was off the train. I've held my fire. I was a good, I was willing to say, okay, maybe it's players, but again, he's got players. He's got players.
There's no excuse. None of the stuff that they were doing last year, at the end of last year, none of that what he was saying makes any sense now because you've got all the tools.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, you got a quarterback that's confused half the time, and so, all right, so Spencer checked into a run play with 8 in the box. Why does he have that option?
Yeah. How are you giving him that leeway?
Why are you doing it? I mean, that's my thing. You got a quarterback that's completely confused. You got receivers and playmakers that are frustrated as all get out because they don't get the ball. And then when they do, the next thing you know, their snaps go down. I mean, it's egregiously, it's insane. It's like Tony wrote on the site. The dude's about plays and not players. It's a player's ball game. And what's even crazier about it is all this NFL crap. That's what the NFL football is. Get the ball to your playmakers.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. And
what
not
are we
quite
doing?
so obviously as you do. I mean, that's the other thing. It was like, okay, well, we're going to – here's not even the threat of a third running back. Didn't even put one back there outside of DeCarry and Joyner. That's it. It'd be no Amos, not even to, no Miller, just to be back there to make it look a little different, to try to make it look different. Hell, nothing. There's no – I don't know. They're close.
Yeah. Jared goes, Zeb Nolan probably knows this offense better than anyone. Give it to him. I don't care.
Let him call the plays, right? There's your GA.
I mean, I would steal this from a Michigan State podcast. Michigan State blew a big lead one year to Michigan or Notre Dame. Notre Dame, I think, came back and beat him. And Michigan State podcaster gets on there and he's like, I don't care if H.R. Puffin stuff and Teddy Ruxpin were calling the plays. He's better than that guy. And I hate H.R. Puffin stuff, by the way, because he's H.R. Puffin
Mayor McCheese
situation. I'm gonna bust a evil McCheese is coming for you, Puffin stuff. Evil McCheese. Anyway, 76 Gamecock. I'm sorry I scrolled down on all this. If I missed something and you guys asked me a question, please retype it on the chat box because it's just
let's just blow it up. So that's it. Yeah,
76 is all a gent can do is stare into the abyss of confusion, allow proper frustration, and shake one's head. Seriously, other than Pete Limbo, I've got nothing positive to reflect on. Yeah, and he goes, Doc, oh my God, JC, this is the worst since Holt's first season. That was a winless season, Doc.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
but I mean, the offense that year did not show any life. But if you want to talk about like, don't run this system at South Carolina style, yeah, it's the worst since then. Because it's like, it is because Holtz was trying to run the dang Notre Dame offense from 1991 with no quarterback and an injured offensive line and a bunch of other stuff. So that was that there. Tiffany says, first off, terrible day at UVA. I agree. And that kind of, I was kind of coming guns a-blazing this morning, and that kind of knocked me back a little bit because, just player I know died. And that's.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, that's tragic. It really is.
So, prayers to those family to find some peace and solace. Hunter says, D-line needs to work on block shed only Monday through Thursday, not anything else. Agreed. And look, they're not
how
off.
Physical they're doing it at practice too.
Yeah, they're not off the hook on that side of the ball either. And I've watched that defensive line play like their hair's on fire and play well and be a difference makers in games like Kentucky this year, or even A&M. I thought, even though A&M put some points on the board, I thought the D line really caused some problems.
Yeah, you're affecting the quarterback. We haven't seen that in a couple of games. I mean, Richardson had all the time he wanted. To do
how's
whatever.
that happen? I mean, how are you getting blocked at I mean, when you see him go back to pass, it should be, all right, good for us. They're not running. Let's get them down and get them off. And look, there was a flu bug. Shane didn't really want to talk about it. He said it was, an excuse. But they did look. The defensive guys looked lethargic at the beginning.
They were slow. Yeah,
I don't want to use it as an excuse either. But it's something. And I noticed that it kicked like first series. Phil, I was like, something's off with this defense today.
Mm-hmm.
Rush kind of dropping the pass, and then when he dropped the interception, he wasn't even like, how they're like,
yeah, right.
He just kind of like strolled on back to the huddle, and I'm like, something's up. Evil shoes. But you're right, Hunter. D-line needs to work on block shed only Monday through Thursday, not anything else. Ernie says you never know, we might win.
It can happen.
I don't want to talk myself into it. But,
I'm not. I could say it could happen, but I'm damn sure not picking it.
If they hold them under 40, I think that's a moral victory, right? Yeah. You take that momentum and go to Clemson and try to win. I don't know. So, I don't know. I mean, I can't wait to see what the offensive coordinator comes up with for this week, because I don't think he subscribes to the theory that in games like this, when you're playing a team that's as good on offense as Tennessee that can score in 10 seconds, you got to win that game with offense. And even if he does know that, then you're probably just going to see a bunch of runs up the middle, which, again, plays right into Tennessee's hands because they know that teams are going to do that. Right. So they crowd the box, and they've got an active bunch on defense. I mean, they're not good, not what I would call a good defense, but they're active. And if Carolina plays like they did Saturday, Tennessee will shut them out in their own stadium and score 70.
Yeah.
I'm not predicting. I hope the Gamecocks get up off the mat and go give a spirited performance because there's going to be a lot of recruits there Saturday night. It should be a heck of a crowd. SEC Nation's going to be in town, and all this is just disappointing because you just look at it, Phil, and you're like, everybody should be like, upset. And you should be wanting to get Tennessee scalp and knock them out of the playoffs. But I think at this point, with this particular offensive coordinator and this particular offense, and then the fact that the defense is really starting to struggle, there's no chance. I have friends that aren't even going to go. They've been looking forward to this game all year. Mm-hmm. Even up after the Vandy game. People were fired up about the Tennessee game. Well, now I'm not going. I don't want to hear Rocky top 4 or 5 times a minute. I don't blame them.
Yeah, per quarter. No, I don't either. I mean, it's I don't know. It sucks because we're getting national attention now, and then we're going into this game we all feel like we're just going to fall flat on our faces and look like a damn laughing stock again.
I know. Well, we're overdue, Phil.
We are.
Nat's going to get in the chat box. He's like, go to commercial, clown.
Yeah.
But we'll be right back after these messages. Don't forget, Keith's coming up. That should be a fun conversation at the top of the hour right here on Inside the Gamecocks, the show.
Just as your State Farm agent combines good neighbor service with surprisingly great rates, you can combine your home, auto, life, or small business insurance with Tony Pope State Farm Insurance today. And guess what you'll get? That's right, even more good neighbor service with surprisingly great rates. In fact, Tony Pope State Farm is your go-to agent anywhere in South Carolina, North Carolina, or Georgia for the service you deserve at the price you want. So try combining your home, life, auto, and or small business insurance today. Tony Pope State Farm has been in business for more than 30 years and can handle anything you need in the tri-state area. Once again, Tony Pope State Farm will help you mix and match perfectly. Call 843-851-2222 or visit TonyPope.com today. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. If you're looking to sell or buy multifamily property right here in South Carolina, the Burgesson team of RE/MAX at the Lake can help you get to closing fast and easy. Adam and Derek Burgesson both are very proud Gamecocks and are more than happy to assist you with any of your commercial real estate needs all across the state. You can email Adam at aburgesson@remax.net. That's ABERGESON at remax.net to get your next deal underway. The Burgesson team, proud sponsors of Inside the Gamecocks.
Family vacations, a new car, a new boat, all cost money, but you don't necessarily have to make more to afford any of that if you can save cash that's flying out the window now. iHelp Consulting can help you finally get the kids to Disney World, upgrade the minivan, or drop that new boat in the water next summer. Let Daniel and iHelp Consulting consult with you. No fees, just savings. You pay them a percentage of those savings. Save on essential services, credit card fees, you name it. Let them find it. These folks are incredible. iHelpConsulting.com. How can I help you?
Attention golfers of all ages and skill sets. Former Gamecock golfer Meredith Taylor will be a full-time golf instructor in the Midlands of South Carolina very, very soon. You want to take advantage of this opportunity. If you're like me,
okay, I guess we're back.
Golf, or even if you're looking to refine your swing,
my mic is unmuted.
Meredith is the person you need to
I don't see Phil.
She's competing in her final USGA.
But we're back inside the Gamecocks show. JC Sherbert and hopefully Phil Mullinax comes back.
If you're in South Carolina, Meredith will be conducting
in-person
golf lessons at the Country Club of Lexington.
I guess I'm in the show yet, so everybody can see and hear
She'll
me.
play 9 or 18.
Nana Sports chat box. Kreger says this offense looks
She'll be
like John
conducting
C.
virtual
Riley
lessons.
meets
You can
Peter
send
Brady.
in your swing for her expert analysis. Also, in
John C.
November, she'll
Riley.
launch an online course with video instruction for all ages and skill levels. Meredith has 20-plus years of knowledge, former SEC golfer, all of that. So contact her on Twitter at MerTaylor, at MERTAYLOR, or go to McKellarEnterprises.org. McKellar spelled MCKELLAR, Enterprises.org. Her email's on the website, so you can connect with her for any other questions. Go get your golf game in order. Take advantage of Meredith Taylor.
Sorry, my mic. Tangible reason that.
Welcome back to the show, everybody.
Hey, dude, what's up?
Wow. I don't know why that mic turned back on unless you happen to bump something, but yeah.
Well, the commercials ended. I don't know what happened to that last commercial, the Nana's Porch, and there was no welcome back to the show, and it just froze.
It just froze.
And and then my mic was unmuted, and so I was like, I should talk. I was like, is this thing on? Anyway, but that's fine. Travis, though, in the chat box says Beamer should stop worrying about the fans and their joy, quit reading into social media, and worry about his coaches in-house. I agree. I mean, I don't know that this is the time for him to be to go on a defensive. I mean, it's okay to defend your program, right? And I think defending the actual program and what they're trying to accomplish and all that. But the one thing I would just personally hope they would steer clear of is, we looked at the tape and we're really close. Because you hear that over and over. And it's like, well, then if you're really close, then why, if it's just like a block here, a block there, or a route run, that, or, something like it. So then, okay, why aren't you in practice every day, like practicing those close plays that are close? Yeah. But I know that doesn't happen because I know it's 1 million plays. Come, Mr. Bigglesworth.
I mean, the only person in college football who looks like they've got more sheets and stuff like that is Jimbo, and we see how that turned out.
The guy from Kentucky that they hired, Mark Stoops, did this madness twice. I mean, and look, I think everybody would agree Mark Stoops knows how to run a program, right? But he fell for this crap twice. He got the guy from the Rams. He went back to the Rams. He said, well, let's go get the guy from the 49ers now. All right. Look how terrible they are on offense. They lost to Vanderbilt. Now, it was snowing and stuff. I mean, but Vandy, Kentucky's offense is good for like 21 points a game. That's it. Or less. And I mean, they're not, and Stoops has done this twice, So, I mean, I'll give Beamer a pass for it. I mean, it was obviously there was a disconnect because Shane talked about one thing, right? Mm-hmm. And then the reality has been completely different. And then when you hear Satterfield talk, he talks about something else. I mean, I'm not saying they're not on the same page. I'm just saying what was sold to the fan base, and to everybody And Ray Tanner mentioned offense when he introduced Beamer, right? Oh, he's offense. The name of the game is offense these days. And that's true. Tanner was prophetic with that, as we're all about to see this weekend when Big Orange comes to town. Yeah, right. But look, so here's the thing. I mean, the question becomes, I mean, you know, so when you talk about one thing and then you do another and then it doesn't work, I mean, to me, that means change has to come. You know, Tiffany says it's hard to be positive all the time when things like this past Saturday happen and continue to happen. It's been happening since 2021. I agree. I'm poster. You know, I the Florida poster on the board. I don't know who that is. Mm-hmm. Jeff Fowler. I'll try to look at it. Drew goes. A terrible chef can ruin a perfectly cut steak. Chef style. It's like the Swedish chef. Bursky, born. 49ers going to run the 49ers playbook now. Lady Bree says he thinks Spencer is a pro quarterback instead of realize he's a kid with talent that needs developing. That's what I was like. Why would you even do this?
Yeah, that's what doesn't make any sense whatsoever. I mean, we knew he was still kind of raw coming out of damn Oklahoma, and then you're gonna treat him like, you know, Sam Ellinger and the damn Colts. You just throw him out there.
People were talking about like when Rattler hit the portal the first time, people were talking about it, and I was like, I just don't think. I mean, I was like, well, if they're gonna run Sat's offense. Well, you probably are better off with like Max Johnson, you know, from LSU, because as we all know, Coach O hired some of those Joe Brady disciples to go run the offense. Didn't work, but at least he had experience doing it. Spencer's whole knock on him coming out of Oklahoma was that he didn't always make the right reads and stuff like that. So my question is, okay, you've got this talented guy. And yeah, you sold him on pro style offense. Well, that's fine because look, you could be a quote unquote pro style offense without making your setup and everything just like the NFL, which is ridiculous. And look, like I watched the Bears, right? Justin Fields, when he first got to the NFL, it was kind of a disaster at times, right? Now he's gotten used to it. And he's comfortable with his offensive system now. And you go watch Justin Fields play, guys. And my point to say all that is the NFL, there's going to be a learning curve anyway. They take guys out of these offenses like Ohio State's offense. Does it look anything like this dump truck of an offense that Carolina's got? No. They spread the field. They make you defend. I know they've got better players than Carolina, but I think Carolina's got players that just aren't being used. Again, Austin Stodner's now on the milk carton, okay? And there seems to be no desire to change. Like, okay, the run game's not going anywhere. Maybe we can put this other guy in, like an Amos or something, see if he gives us a spark. Or, all right, so Austin Stodner hadn't played all half. Let's just maybe try to dial something up for him, get him one-on-one down the seam. I mean, that hadn't even happened all year. I mean, they've thrown one-on-one thing deep in Kentucky, and unfortunately Spencer underthrew it. So why bring Spencer Rattler in and be like, all right, we're going to take what you don't do well, and that's going to be the key to our entire offense.
We're going to double down on that.
We're double downing on it. No, I mean, look, I'm saying like Ryan Day, the coach at Ohio State, and all his coaches, Ryan used to coach in the NFL. But again, it's not your job. You don't ever sacrifice winning in this sport. Okay. Winning is everything. And you can, and look, I appreciate the culture that Beamer's built. And I think he just, like I said, giving him a pass for a mistake, because he's not the first coach. It won't be the last. Like I mentioned, Mark Stoops has made this mistake twice in the past 2 years. Okay, he's done the same, and I get it. You look, you turn on the ball on Sunday afternoon, some of that stuff, you're like, man, that's brilliant, but again, it's college football, right? Let's get a little grip on ourselves here. It's college football, right? And he has no chance. I mean, and there's like I said, I got a text from somebody that covers another program, and I'm not going to tell you who it is or what program, but they're not happy with their OC either. And they're like, but man, oh man, watching South Carolina, I mean, it's just like, I've never seen anything like that. They're like 8 in the box, let's run it up the middle. Like there's no feel, there's nothing, so I get it. Just it's a mistake that needs to be corrected, period. I mean, that's just the bottom line. But the lunacy, as Lady Bree pointed out, the lunacy of trying to make Spencer Rattler go out there and, be Peyton Manning is ridiculous. Call it and haul it, man. I mean, but see, I don't think there's the capability to call it and haul it either. Like Kurt Roper, right? He put a lot on Jake Bentley that last year. That was a lot, because I guess he too was in the NFL for a grand total of one season, as an assistant to an assistant, a copy of a copy, right? And came back and decided, the David Cutcliffe offense is pretty good, but I think I'll scrap it for what we did with the Browns last year, and Jake did the best he could with it, but when you put that much on the quarterback and then he had all those injuries and Debo got hurt or whatever, it just ended up being a really sad offense. BMAC takes over and kind of took what they had, modified it, add some stuff to it, made it more like a college system. And there's a reason he was successful for the most part until Jake got hurt. So, unlike Roper, who could call it and haul it and did, when I say call it and haul it, I mean, coordinator's up there. He's checking off plays. He's calling this, he's calling that. He's reading the defense. He's like, what are they in? Do this, do that. There's no audibles. There's no, if an audible comes in, it comes from the sideline, that kind of thing. I don't know that there's the ability to do that. At least not with the current offensive coordinator.
Yeah, the way it's set up, it just doesn't seem like you could, because it would be okay. Well, they probably haven't practiced plays like that.
Yeah,
they just haven't. Yeah.
Michael goes, I feel like you do, JC. Please stop with all the NFL talk. I think it's overkill from this coach and coaching staff. I do too. And I think that the last staff got caught up in that a little bit as well. More so because they kind of thought, well, we're not. And this is kind of why I think it's good to hire a guy like Muschamp had never been in a place like South Carolina. So he's used to, no matter where he was, going and getting studs, right? Well, it's hard to get all these studs. You can get good enough and develop guys and think. I mean, you really have to recruit a little differently than you do at like Texas, right? At South Carolina, and I think they kind of panicked a little bit from what I was told. Not panicked, but they're like, okay, well, how can we sell recruits? Well, what's our angle? Well, okay, we'll get you ready for the league, and we've got a track record of doing that. Blah 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 blah, and that's the deal there. And I think that ended up killing the defense. Because the defense was a little bit too complex, right? It's still a complex defense, and it works at some places. It doesn't work at others. It works at Georgia like a charm. But when you got Georgia talent and, you got all those guys and you can develop them and you can get the best of the best, smart, cerebral players that are also great athletes. There's not a lot of those, you can do that at Georgia, and you can do it in Alabama or wherever else. But, that's the deal there. And he goes, I think it's overkill from this coaching staff. And Phil's laugh is my joy that Beamer said for me to find.
That's right. Find some joy.
Find some joy. Ernie says easy to sit around and criticize.
Well, Ernie, we would give praise too if that were due, but it's not today.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, what's Bert got to say about all that, man? No. Bert and Ernie. That may be a can of worms I didn't want to open up there. But no, Ernie, look, I get it. But look, everybody's sick of watching this, and what it does too is like, unlike, look, I don't care about taking a butt whipping. You're going to take a butt whipping, in the SEC. Sometimes it's just not your day. Florida probably, didn't like the butt whipping they took last year at Carolina, right?
Right.
That's one thing. It's another thing to drain your entire program of any hope at all because of the same old crap every single week. South Carolina has a team that probably, I'm not going to say they could match up with Tennessee because that was a good Missouri defense that Tennessee just like just dissected and destroyed. And Josh Heupel ran up the score at the end on his old team, and that's like they beat him 62-24 last year, 66-24 this year, and it was 28-24 in the third, and in the blink of an eye, boom, you're out. But I'm not going to say Carolina would stop Tennessee or whatever, but I'm saying if you had a better plan on offense, you'd probably think like, well, what if they go in there, Tennessee turns it over, and Carolina can jump up to a big lead and then holds them off and drains the clock, and there's hope.
Yeah.
There's no hope right now.
That would be the recipe. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Because going into that game against any defense not named Georgia this year, Tennessee's lit up like a Christmas tree. You have to go back to the Pitt game to find where they kind of got slowed a little bit. And that game went to overtime. Pitt could have won that one. But anyway, so there's no hope. And then you look at a very, very I don't want to say Clemson's average, because you're not 9-1 in average, and they'll be 10-1 when they thump the U next week. Lucky that was supposed to be this big game.
Yeah,
Miami got up off the mat and beat Georgia Tech, but Clemson's gonna boat race them like they always do, and then just on time to get momentum for Carolina. But what I'm saying is, you have a decent offensive coordinator, and you have with the players they have, even with Lloyd out, which hopefully he's back by Clemson, because apparently that was the whole offense. Apparently that was it. Mm-hmm. Once they got through the get right games, that was like, all right, this is the Marshawn Lloyd, and that's it. We're not going to worry about anything else now. Just give it to Marshawn, and he, and he's good enough to mask a lot of deficiencies. That's true. You'd have a chance at Clemson. I think you'd have a big chance, especially if it's like a noon kickoff up there or something at the Valley. Everybody's, eating their turkey leftovers and stuff. And it's, right. You get them at night, they're going to get all liquored up. Everybody's getting liquored up. So, I don't know, the bottom line here, folks, is this. I think this season is a waste. It is a waste. I'm not saying that going to a bowl isn't important, and I actually would rather go than not. Ask 7 lost Jimbo. I'm not saying that beating Kentucky and A&M isn't significant. I think that's great. You certainly don't want to keep losing to those guys. I'm just saying this team could be a lot better. Mm. And if we hadn't sat there and watched Juice Wells, whatever, most of every third time he gets the ball, he does something amazing. Is nobody watching that? I mean, who over there looks at it and goes, well, we probably shouldn't get Juice the ball.
Right. Yeah.
Doty. Yeah. D.D. Short makes a good point about Doty, because Beamer mentioned this about putting in Luke Doty. He has a red shirt, right? Left. Okay. And so he's played in 4 games, so they're not going to burn that this year. So
it doesn't seem like that.
Anyway, I do believe Doty's gone after this year. Mars standing says, I don't know. Preserving his red shirt is good. I think
it also makes me inclined to believe that Spencer's going to be around. If he doesn't move. I don't know I don't know if he's graduating this year, but that would give him one more opportunity to transfer without having to sit.
Pruitt says Beamer's in over his head. If Levis isn't injured versus UK, they'd miss a bowl game. I don't know that Carolina loses that one, even with
I don't know either, Levis. Even with Levis, because did y'all watch him play this past week?
Well, I mean, I watched it, and I think I mean, I don't know. Like I said, Kentucky's kind of whatever, and Kentucky's offensive line is not as good as it once was. And the Gamecocks defensive line came to play and played. Dos Bandito says, I turned the radio on in the third quarter to check back in. Todd, nightmare.
Oh, I didn't listen to any of the radio call this week. I bet. I
didn't even go like SF cocking. puts up the highlights on YouTube, right? And I always like to check it out, kind of like go over and over plays and stuff. You know, I'll go back and watch the tape, and then I'll go. I haven't even done that. And I'm not going to. It's that bad. Brian says, JC and Phil, what's y'all's favorite comedy movie? That's tough.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't have a favorite. I have several.
Yeah, that's right. I
have several, but
I don't know.
That's the thing there.
One that's always fresh for me, though, it may not be my favorite, and it's not that well known, is the movie Noises Off. If you want to see awesome comedians playing their asses off in a movie, Noises Off.
That's a play too, by the way.
Yeah, it's off. It's awesome.
Says JC, the commercial's still playing. Oh, that was during the break. Clown. but you know the deal there with you know, it's just I don't know. It's just a waste of a season. You know, like I said, because I think the Gamecocks could be a lot better. You know, if they had just a marginally decent college offensive plan.
Yeah.
And I knew, and I think some of us thought it's never going to get any better. And shockingly, Shane did not make a change last year. I understand the thought process. Heck, I understand the thought process behind hiring him. You know, I mean, because you know, it all sounds great. You talk to anybody that talks to him, including players, and they're like, I love him. They're like, oh, this guy knows a lot of football. I don't care how much football you know. You know, what are you doing to help the Gamecocks win games? That should be everybody's. How does this help South Carolina win? It doesn't. It doesn't. In fact, it doesn't. You know.
Yeah. Come to find out.
Jafaller says, JC and Phil, why did we digress in year two? There's better players on this team, but the record's probably going to be the same or worse.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, you stand, you know, okay. Worst case scenario is you go 6-7. I mean, that's not a good look. No, not at all. Not at all.
JD says Shane staying at Oklahoma for a month after he got the job here put him in a bad spot. He didn't. He got the job. When was it? The last week of the regular season, Kentucky.
Yeah, Kentucky.
And then he stayed. He stayed for the Big 12 championship game, which was the next week, and then came to Carolina. Mm-hmm. So that's a kind of a common misconception. You know, people are like, oh, he stayed through the bowl. He did not stay through the Cotton Bowl. He stayed through the Big 12 title game. Corn Pop was a bad dude. Says the booze will be loud versus Tennessee. Shane not making a move now on set will burn us in the portal. Won't be any talent left. Well, I think you're getting your calendar kind of. I mean, I understand where you're coming from, but you're getting your calendar kind of wrong here because he didn't stay at Oklahoma a month. He stayed a week, okay, and then came to Carolina, started his duties. And the portal, it doesn't matter now what happens. Now, you don't make a move after the Clemson game. That's going to hurt him in the portal.
I don't think you wait until after the bowl game. Yeah,
right now, Jade, nobody's in the dang portal, so it's not like you know you're actually complaining or you're worried that all the cranberry sauce is going to be gone when the store hadn't even stocked the cranberry sauce yet, right? Because it's not Thanksgiving. I hope that makes sense. But thank you so much. Yes, the suspect, by the way, the UVA shooting is.
Apparently
in custody now. So, you know, that's the deal there. Will McClain says keeping Sat until after Clemson game is a bad move. I mean, I'd pull the plug now, but I get why you're doing it. And then trying to hire an OC and more while dealing with early signing period and bowl game. Good luck. Well, the idea is to be proactive behind the scenes. How about that? How about that? So, I guess we got to get to a break because Keith's coming up.
He should be. I haven't seen him in here yet. I'm sure he's coming up with a creative name. Something tells me it's not going to be 7 Lost Jimbo today. It'll probably be #fire Marcus Satterfield, but that's just my gut.
Oh, #fire Marcus. But it's your gut. Okay. That sounds canned cranberry sauce is fire, Greg says. And then Quantrell comes up with a great one. I co-signed the OC hate, but more concerned about how the lines of scrimmage got destroyed. I think too, you don't help your O-line when you cram them all in there together, right? And some of the better O-lines have wider splits and stuff. I don't know. Anyway, I will be right back. We'll be right back here on Inside the Gamecocks show.
If you're a listener, I feel strongly that if you're in the upstate and are in need of real estate services, Cindy Searfoss is your go-to person. Searfoss of Caldwell Banker Kane can help you with any of your realty needs right there in the upstate of South Carolina, Greenville, Spartanburg, Anderson, Oconee, Pickens, wherever you are. Cindy can help you with that. She's married to a diehard Gamecock fan, has been in the upstate for more than 35 years. Right there in my hometown of Spartanburg, Daniel Morgan Avenue. Contact Cindy, 864-414-5271, or email csearfoss, CSEARFOSS, at cbcaine.com, CBCAINE. That's Cindy Searfoss, a proud sponsor of the Inside the Gamecocks podcast. Check her out. We've already gotten several emails from listeners that are very impressed with her professionalism and her ability to help you with your real estate needs. 864-414-5271, Cindy Searfoss of Caldwell Banker Kane.
If you're looking to sell or buy multifamily property right here in South Carolina, the Burgesson team of RE/MAX at the Lake can help you get to closing fast and easy. Adam and Derek Burgesson both are very proud Gamecocks and are more than happy to assist you with any of your commercial real estate needs all across the state. You can email Adam at aburgesson@remax.net. That's ABERGESON at remax.net to get your next deal underway. The Burgesson team, proud sponsors of Inside the Gamecocks.
Hey, man, are you sick and tired of your business computer guy?
Yes, he takes forever to call me back and doesn't always respond to the requests.
Yeah, same here. I'm paying him good money. I constantly have issues, and I'm worried he's not backing up my network and securing it properly.
Oh, I feel that, man. My head hurts, but I have a good lead on a good idea. I'm calling your boy Matthew Odom today from Heritage Digital. Heritage Digital is an IT firm that specializes in making sure your IT network runs like a dream. If you have 1 or 500 employees, it doesn't matter. They do it all for one monthly fee and have clients from South Carolina all the way to California.
Yeah, I heard that monthly fee's low too, so I don't know why I didn't even think of that. Do you have 843-699-1001 as Matt's contact number?
Yeah, man, I sure do that. Or you can go to heritagedigital.com.
Man, I hear they do a no-cost assessment. Boy, this will help me.
Yeah, I bet.
I'm getting on that and encouraging everyone else to do the same. Heritage Digital, 843-699-1001 or heritagedigital.com, a proud sponsor of Inside the Gamecocks, the show.
Family vacations, a new car, a new boat, all cost money, but you don't necessarily have to make more to afford any of that if you can save cash that's flying out the window now. iHelp Consulting can help you finally get the kids to Disney World, upgrade the minivan, or drop that new boat in the water next summer. Let Daniel and iHelp Consulting consult with you. No fees, just savings. You pay them a percentage of those savings. Save on essential services, credit card fees, you name it. Let them find it. These folks are incredible. iHelpConsulting.com. How can I help you?
What's up? This is Jaheim Bell with the Gamecocks, and you're now listening to Inside the Gamecocks show with JC and Phil.
Welcome back, everybody. Inside the Gamecocks show is brought to you in the second hour by that threw me off. The Burgesson team at Remax at the Lake. Give Adam or Derek a call or shoot him an email at aburgesson, that's ABERGESON at remax.net. And as I suspected, we are no longer enthralled with the losses of Jimbo. We are now joined by FireMarcusSatterfield.com, aka the Cogfather. And as we all know and love him, Keith Allsep of Locked on the Gamecocks podcast. Check him out. Go check him out on Patreon. I'm sure they're running some sort of special. But Keith, how are you doing today?
Guys, I'm doing great. I've been up since 5:45 a.m. I'm fully caffeinated, ready to go. I've already done my podcast where we talked about the honeymoon is over for Shane Beamer. And it's really on him, quite frankly. We talked about Gamecock men's basketball, Lamont Paris doing something that's not been done since 2014, and that is beating the Clemson Tigers at Colonial Life Arena. He beat Brian Brownell, the guy with the personality of a brown cardboard box. And Dawn Staley's team, they just continue to roll 81-56 over number 17 Maryland and Brenna Freeze, who is a national championship coach. And so really, per usual, everything except, women's sports is going great. Women's soccer, they won their first round match. They're the SEC champions. Women's basketball, consensus number one. And, but Shane Beamer's got problems, and he's got big problems, and they were self-created by him doubling down on Marcus Satterfield, on choosing to bring back a guy that he knew was in bad health. We all love Greg Adkins. Okay, we love him. But they could have kept him in an off-the-field capacity. They could have hired somebody.
Probably somebody pretty good, too.
Pretty good. Okay, you could have definitely upgraded at running back, which I still anticipate that happening. And quite frankly, I know Jody Wright's his buddy, but so is Shane Beamer, and Tim Brewster was not. But he could have hired him. And they could have hired Christian Robinson as well. And they hired Clayton's buddy. And Carolina's linebackers right now couldn't play dead in a cowboy movie. And I love Sherrod Green with all my heart. The guy gives it everything he's got. But it's not much anymore because of all the injuries. And on top of that, Clayton White turned down dudes in the transfer portal. He's like, no, I'm good. A lot of self-inflicted wounds on both sides of the football, and really outside of Torian Gray and Pete Limbo, nobody is beyond reproach. I would probably add Justin Stepp, who, quite frankly, his position group's probably the most improved on the team.
Yeah, and I think
and you can't blame Justin Stepp
nope.
for not getting big-time wide receivers to come and play in that kerfuffle of an offense.
That's exactly where I was going with that, Keith, is like you cannot fault Justin Stepp for not being able to pull in big-time recruits when your offense looks like that week in and week out.
Deer in headlights. Look, I mean, it was just and then they started turning it over in the third quarter. I mean, there's just – I wrote my game thoughts on this game on the Big Spur today. And there just wasn't a whole lot of analysis. There wasn't a lot to analyze. Keith, do you have any answers as to, like, maybe why after they spread the field against Vandy, it looked like a college offense, made him defend the entire field, they go back to the let's put a bunch of people, like, bunched up here against a really fast team and let's run it up the middle against that 413-pound guy who, Eric Douglas has to block. You know, I mean, any answers? I was stunned.
I mean, JC, no doubt about it. I'm stunned. I think, though, when you look at the fact that this is not 1996 Florida, 2001 Florida, 2008, 7 Florida. They backed in the national. Maybe it's six.
Six is when they backed in.
Yeah, that's when the guy that smoked a lot of dope blocked all those kicks and should have been suspended. And not 2000. I think 9 Florida. I witnessed that ass whipping in the cold at Williams-Brice Stadium. Or no, 07.
Yeah, that was 51-30. 09, yeah. The Gamecocks gave them a game, and Mo Brown dropped a pass. That was the Army or the Wounded Warrior game with the uniforms and stuff. And heck, kind of set the stage. Carolina beat Clemson the next week. I think they had a lot of confidence in that. I mean, look, I had it today. It's the worst loss Gamecocks have taken in the swamp since Muschamp, that weird 44-11 game in 2012, which was the most Muschampian victory, I think, ever for him, because Carolina actually outgained them, held them 178 yards of offense, and lost 44-11.
Well, look, there was nothing bizarre about this one.
No.
Florida ran it down their throats, 280 yards at halftime. I mean, we thought 295 by Arkansas was abysmal. Florida, 374 yards rushing. South Carolina not giving up that much yards on the ground since they had an interim head coach in 2015. And look, Florida's defense was giving up 29 points a game, 50% on third down, close to 390 plus yards per game, like 186 yards per game on the ground. And Shat is going to shat. And that's what happened. It went back to, can't do any of that stuff we did against Vanderbilt. We're just going to line up and run it right up the middle and bunch them all in. And it's the definition of insanity, doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. But look, Clayton White bears the brunt of the responsibility because, come on, man, this has not been an explosive offense. And they ran it down your ass 374 yards. Okay. Touchdown to start the game, and you're down 21-0. We've seen that movie a bunch under Shane Beamer on the road. Changes have to happen on that side of the ball, JC, I think, because you're probably not firing Clayton White. But somebody's got to be held accountable, okay, for what's going on with the defense. And if Shane Beamer is tone deaf enough to say, I'm standing pat, again, he is in the NFL category, which is not for long. Because a new athletic director is coming, and guess what? He is the lowest paid coach in the conference. 13 months ago, outside of Kirby Smart and a few others, nobody was having as good an offseason as Shane Beamer. And he's given it all up and has dug himself a hole. And I want to see if he can get out of it, because I love a lot of the things he's done with the culture, with recruiting. Okay. But doubling down on Satterfield, who, like I've said, hadn't done a damn thing to deserve that job to begin with. And then you give him Spencer Rattler, and he's paralyzed him. Okay, you're playing a tight end at running back. You're not utilizing your talent. And Clayton White, he don't know how to stop the run. I mean, good grab. I mean, it's hard to win when your offense can't do anything and your defense can't get anybody off the field. Florida 9 of 15 on third down. They were like 37% for the season on third down. 374 yards on the ground. And Billy Napier, the guy who was my first choice, who I've been very critical of at Florida because he is kind of a weird dude. Okay. I want to see if Shane Beamer, who is the CEO coach, okay, he can't take over the offense. He can't take over the defense. He's the CEO. He's running a Fortune 500 company, and he's got several employees that are negatively impacting the bottom line. CEOs have to make the tough decisions. They have to be decisive. They have to be swift in acting, and they have to course correct. Or they risk losing their board, their investors. In the age of the transfer portal and NIL, you're not getting 10 years like your daddy got, Shane. You got one shot at this, brother. And you're either going to be the guy that I didn't think deserved the job or the guy that we've been praising for the last year for the changes he's made. Which guy is he going to be? It's a coin flip right now, JC.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't even think. Oh, well, no, not to cut you off, JC, but I mean, I don't even think you give him the full off season to make that, determination, Keith. I think you have a finite amount of time after the Clemson game and until the bowl game to actually do something of real substance, or you've lost an entire off season.
Phil, I agree. I think he's got 24 hours to make the move on Marcus Satterfield. You have to do it immediately. Mm-hmm. And decisively. You probably have to go ahead and announce Greg Adkins is retiring. To me, the other moves you can make after signing day, after the bowl game. Mm-hmm. But to me, that one move in particular, it's got to come quickly, or there are going to be guys that are going to really sting that are going to hit the portal. For sure. And they may hit the portal anyway, but at least you'll have the chance of giving them the hope that there's somebody out there that you're already in conversations with, or soon will be, or with their agent, that you can assure them that guy's coming.
Mm-hmm. There's a list of about 4 or 5 guys, I think, that and like I said, I'm not going to get into any names right now because I don't want to, these types of things, you don't want to throw a name out or a couple names out. Then everybody falls in love with that particular guy, and then somebody else gets it, so they don't give the new guy a chance, et cetera. But yeah, I'd be shocked if there weren't at least some behind the scenes conversations. And I think Beamer knows that there's a finite amount of time after the Clemson game. Well, Keith, you mentioned basketball and a nice win for Lamont Paris. And they've got that Charleston tournament this weekend. They play Nico Medved's Colorado State Rams. Believe it or not, the ESPN predictor has the Gamecocks as the favorite. And then I think it's College of Charleston or the winner of the College of Charleston game the next round. And then that other bracket has like Penn State, Virginia Tech, and Furman in it. Your thoughts about starting 2-0? I like this team. I put a post up on over the weekend. I said, here's what I like about it. It looks like a bunch of guys that are scrappy, and then you got a future NBA guy that doesn't shave yet, who's kind of special, But I kind of like the guys look like they're having fun, Keith. They look like they're having fun playing.
I mean, I agree. I don't think the players look scared shitless to take a shot or make a mistake. They're not looking at the bench as the ball leaves their hands, and their coach trusts them to play. Like the last play of the game, okay, you just gave up a 7-point lead. Frank Martin would have been in full meltdown mode. He would have most certainly called a timeout. Instead, Paris is just standing there with his arms folded because they prepared. As a former basketball coach, I never liked calling a timeout on the last possession, and here's why. It allows the defense, they can change their defense. They can press you or trap you. They can say, hey, this is what they like to do in these instances. This is the guy to look out for. I want the chaos on the defense because I prepared my guys. And Paris showed trust. Chico Carter, he had an amazing game. I mean, no doubt about it. He came down the court, went down the left side, spun, put it up, and nailed it. It was string music for the Gamecocks. And they got the win. I mean, like I said, hadn't been, South Carolina has not won that game at home since 2014. That's a nice early signature win. If you can knock off my guy Nico, who was a young assistant at Furman when I worked camps for Larry Davis. Larry Davis hired him, former Wake Forest assistant. Most recently was at Cincinnati with Mick Cronin, and something bad happened on a plane, and he's running a high school prep school program now somewhere. But he hired Nico Medved and he hired Ryan Odom. Think about that. And he hired Mike Jones, who's head coach now. I think maybe at Maryland, Baltimore County. He's someplace up there. But my guy Larry Davis, he hired a bunch of good assistants. And Nico was one of the guys that came through there, came back, was successful as a head coach, and quickly got out of Furman, which is not a pretty smart move, I think. And, if you're South Carolina, if you can beat Colorado State, even if you go in the losers bracket and you still can win a couple of games, I think if you can go 2-1, regardless of the order, I think that puts you ahead of schedule for Lamont Paris. And they get to leave campus and just be together, just them, not worrying about classes, not worrying about, everything else. And so it's a bonding experience because there are a lot of new players. And those kind of trips can be very beneficial for a young basketball team and a team with new players, a new coaching staff. And then after that, he's got more winnable games because I think he did the wise thing by not over-scheduling with this team. But at the same time, you're exposing G.G. Jackson to some really good players before you get into SEC play.
Yeah, I don't know that Georgetown's making it back this year. Carolina plays up there. They play at George Washington, too. So 2 games in the D.C. area. They play East Carolina in Greenville, which is a kind of an interesting neutral site game. I think Furman and Clemson also have a triple header at the Bon Secours Wellness Arena, where South Carolina men's basketball has never lost there. By the way.
That's right. Undefeated in here at the Well.
Undefeated at the Well. And so that's I think it is, Keith. And I mean, I was kind of looking down the road at the schedule too. I mean, you want to run up as many wins as you can in the non-conference because the SEC is not getting any easier, right? And you got a kind of a new team going into those battles. But I mean, you take it one game at a time or whatever, and go from there. And I think that's pretty positive. I back to the Satterfield thing. I hate that we were right about all this, all of us. I almost hated that I gave it a shot because deep down inside, I thought, I was like, well, you're bringing in Spencer Rattler. I thought maybe the pro talk was just maybe some recruiting posturing, right? But it wasn't. This dude legitimately wants Spencer Rattler to be Peyton Manning. And I'm sorry, Keith, but I'm tired of coaches.
Omaha.
Yeah. This staff, last staff, whoever. This is not an NFL training facility. The NFL does not give South Carolina any money to produce players. This is a college football program, and winning is more important than anything. If you win, NFL takes care of itself. I don't think there's any reason for Spencer Rattler to have to do this complicated offense. I don't think it gets him any better for the next level. His stock's gone down. You look at the guys they draft, they all come from these simple college offenses, right? So I don't even know where the logic is in any of this.
Well, I mean, you go back to just like with Will Muschamp, you go back to Shane Beamer's introductory press conference. You don't hear anything about what they're doing on offense now. I mean, yes, it is about explosive plays, but he came from a great model of offense. Even what they did with Jim Chaney at Georgia, what he saw Steve Spurrier do at South Carolina, what Lincoln Riley did at Oklahoma with Spencer Rattler, and now he looks like any other rookie quarterback in the NFL. He's paralyzed. He's confused. He gives up on plays way too easy because I think he's coached to. I think he's just coached to just chunk it away. Spurrier, his guy had to hang in there and give it time. I mean, they still don't do anything to get the guy out of the pocket and give him a clean look. You know, that great band, the boots, waggles, and nakeds, band.
The band.
They,
Boots and waggles and nakeds.
They've been muted.
Yeah, that was a dream. That was a dream.
And JC, I think Satterfield, I think Beamer put the screws to him for Vanderbilt, and then they had, all those yards and scored a bunch of points and probably should have hung half 100. But for the second week in a row, and here is where the rubber meets the road. There is a clear lack of focus on this offensive unit. You look at the last 2 games, double-digit penalties. When you turn it over 3 times in 4 plays, that is a lack of focus. I think there is a clear disconnect between the players and Marcus Satterfield, and I want your thoughts on the honeymoon being over. And I think Shane Beamer is coming dangerously close to losing this football team by continuing the status quo and doing the same thing over and over and over again and expecting a different result, which, as we all know, is the definition of insanity.
Yeah, and I just don't want him to go in and talk about how close they were because I've heard that could happen. I'm just praying he doesn't say that because I don't care. You hear that every week. Of course you're close. Plays are designed to work, right? Oh, well, why don't they work? Well, this didn't get done right on this play. None of that matters, okay? You could go play by play and do that. People love to do that, and that's fun. The bottom line is this offense is not – it doesn't work. It's straight up – it's not even like it's not the ideal offense for South Carolina to run. This offense doesn't work, and I think that's the thing. It's rarely worked, unless Carolina's able to run crazy on a defense, right? Run nut job over a defense. It's never worked. Where's the creativity in the passing game now? No, it's non-existent.
I got some stats and some adjusted numbers for you.
All right.
So 5 times under 240 yards total offense. 6 times under 250 yards total offense. 8 times under 300 yards total offense. 12 games under 310 yards total offense. So let's just look at this year. You got 35 against Georgia State, right? 21 of those were off punt blocks. All right, you got 7 against Georgia. You scored in the final minute of the game. All right, you got 24 at Kentucky. You got 1 2-yard drive. That's off a turnover. At A&M, you got 17 of your 30 points off defense and special teams. Missouri, you got 10 points. And at Florida, you got 0 offensive points. Okay.
0.0.
None. 0.
So, and that's just this year. If we go back to all the meaningless, like last year, Texas A&M, 0 points and 0 yards through 3 quarters. Okay. Clemson, shut out. People forgot about that shit last year after Rattler and Stogner in the bowl game is, Clemson and A&M didn't happen. Brother, it happened. Okay. It happened. It's not Men in Black, okay, where they flashed the thing and you forgot that it happened.
Did you flashy thing me, Phil?
No, we really do have Sisyphus as an offensive coordinator, just perpetually rolling a ball up the hill and will never make it to the top.
So I figured this year, outside of South Carolina State and Charlotte, adjusted points per game on offense, 6 in, so I guess that'd be 8 games, 16.1 points per game adjusted. If you take out the special teams and defensive points and like the 2-yard drives and the 18-yard drive. All right. And then, I mean, last year was last year, but I mean, is the honeymoon over? And do you think Beamer has the cojones to act swiftly and be a CEO instead of being a buddy and we're going to ride it out and then give guys, I mean, look, worst case, you could just say Marcus has decided that he's choosing to move on and pursue other career opportunities. You could do that.
Yeah, it just needs to be quick. I mean
that's Mr. Positivity, okay? But I think you keep going with this tone-deaf positivity and not being genuine and being disingenuous with the media and the fan base on things. And, I mean, I just see major problems building there's a storm coming and he's got to head it off. And I just don't know if he will do it. I hope he will do it because I'm pulling for him to do it. I want him to do it. I want him to be successful because, like I said, there is a lot that I like about Shane Beamer, but this is a results-driven business. And if you are a head football coach in the SEC, you are a Fortune 500 CEO, and you have to act like a businessman and make business decisions.
I agree completely there, and I think the honeymoon could last a little longer if he makes a swift hire and a good hire and takes care of business. I think people would forgive and forget. But this hire, if it is made, I mean, Keith, it has to be somebody that has tangible evidence of success. No more experiments. I mean, and unfortunately, you have to go back to the previous era, right? Where it's like, okay, you'll hire the guy that worked for the guy and, in Florida and he's supposed to be great and Muschamp liked him. He only had a year, but then turns out he sucks. Okay. And then you have the BMAC plan and that works for a little while. Then it didn't. It turns out he doesn't, can't get off this one thing. Right. Bobo's only here a year. Everybody hated him because the offense was bad. Probably the best one they've had. Right. And then you bring in Satterfield. I don't think, Keith, you can go hire somebody that's kind of like he actually has never called plays before, but, that kind of guy. You need somebody that's got, and I don't care what level of football he comes from, as long as it's not the NFL, a guy that's had like 4 or 5 years of big-time offenses at the college level to where you can point to that and say, that's the idea. That's what we want to be here.
Yeah, I mean, JC, last week on Tuesday night on the Garnet and Black Town Hall, I dropped my list of 7 Tier 1 candidates to replace Marcus Satterfield. I think all of those guys are obtainable. I think some would be outside of the box, but all these guys have done it before, and that's what you need. You need somebody that's going to be positive with the players, somebody that the fan base is going to say, oh, I like that guy.
Yeah. They're like,
not like, who in the hell is this? I've never, what?
I mean, even like, that's the whole thing. The thing about sad too is it's like, you're promised all, so everybody's watching Joe Brady tape, right? The whole off season going into Shane's first year. And then it's like, I don't know. So anyway, well, Keith, man, we're up against it, bud. Always a strong roll when you come in here on Monday. I know our listeners love it. And best of luck for this week. I'm sure we'll talk soon, bud.
Thanks, guys. Have a great week. Go Gamecocks. Go to firemarcussatterfield.com. It's not my website, but it is out there. And I think Shane Beamer has multiple decisions to make, and he's going to have to act swiftly.
All right, thanks, Keith.
Thank you, Keith.
Great stuff, bud. As always, the great Keith Allsep joins us every Monday to review, and he brought it today, boy.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't have to do much. I just kind of sat there and chilled.
Was expecting nothing less.
All right, Phil, we're going to hit a break, and then we're going to go back to 11:17 a.m. in the chat box. Jim,
Okay.
excuse me, Jim says something interesting here, and Philip's got something interesting. I've been staring at it while Keith's on. So I want to get to that. We didn't have a poll today. I got sidetracked when that shooting news broke, and I had to get my VIP notes up and stuff. So I apologize for that. We'll have a poll tomorrow. All that good stuff. And we'll also get into the iHope Consulting mailbag tomorrow. But want to finish this out strong with the chat box. We'll be back after these messages on Inside the Gamecocks of the show.
Attention golfers of all ages and skill sets. Former Gamecock golfer Meredith Taylor will be a full-time golf instructor in the Midlands of South Carolina very, very soon. You want to take advantage of this opportunity. If you're like me and you got to get a whole lot better at golf, or even if you're looking to refine your swing, Meredith is the person you need to go to. She's competing in her final USGA Mid-Amateur Tournament this summer before going full-time into teaching and coaching individuals. If you're in South Carolina, Meredith will be conducting in-person golf lessons at the Country Club of Lexington, hour on course. She'll play 9 or 18 with you. If you're out of state, though, this is really exciting. She'll be conducting virtual lessons. You can send in your swing for her expert analysis. Also, in November, she'll launch an online course with video instruction for all ages and skill levels. Meredith has 20-plus years of knowledge, former SEC golfer, all of that. So contact her on Twitter at MerTaylor, at MERTAYLOR, or go to McKellarEnterprises.org. McKellar spelled MCKELLAR, Enterprises.org. Her email's on the website, so you can connect with her for any other questions. Go get your golf game in order. Take advantage of Meredith Taylor and her services.
If you're looking to sell or buy multifamily property right here in South Carolina, the Burgesson team of RE/MAX at the Lake can help you get to closing fast and easy. Adam and Derek Burgesson both are very proud Gamecocks and are more than happy to assist you with any of your commercial real estate needs all across the state. You can email Adam at aburgesson@remax.net. That's ABERGESON at remax.net to get your next deal underway. The Burgesson team, proud sponsors of Inside the Gamecocks.
Family vacations, a new car, a new boat, all cost money, but you don't necessarily have to make more to afford any of that if you can save cash that's flying out the window now. iHelp Consulting can help you finally get the kids to Disney World, upgrade the minivan, or drop that new boat in the water next summer. Let Daniel and iHelp Consulting consult with you. No fees, just savings. You pay them a percentage of those savings. Save on essential services, credit card fees, you name it. Let them find it. These folks are incredible. iHelpConsulting.com. How can I help you?
Hey, man, are you sick and tired of your business computer guy?
Yes, he takes forever to call me back and doesn't always respond to the requests.
Yeah, same here. I'm paying him good money. I constantly have issues, and I'm worried he's not backing up my network and securing it properly.
Oh, I feel that, man. My head hurts, but I have a good lead on a good idea. I'm calling your boy Matthew Odom today from Heritage Digital. Heritage Digital is an IT firm that specializes in making sure your IT network runs like a dream. If you have 1 or 500 employees, it doesn't matter. They do it all for one monthly fee and have clients from South Carolina all the way to California.
Yeah, I heard that monthly fee's low too, so I don't know why I didn't even think of that. Do you have 843-699-1001 as Matt's contact number?
Yeah, man, I sure do that. Or you can go to heritagedigital.com.
Man, I hear they do a no-cost assessment. Boy, this will help me.
Yeah, I bet.
I'm getting on that and encouraging everyone else to do the same. Heritage Digital, 843-699-1001 or heritagedigital.com, a proud sponsor of Inside the Gamecocks, the show. Yep, time to get back to the show. Shoot. All right, my man.
Welcome back to Inside the Gamecocks, the show, everybody, with JC Sherbert and Phil Mullinax. Second hour of the show is brought to you by the Burgesson team at Remax at the Lake. Give Adam or Derek a call or shoot him an email at aburgesson, that's Bergeson, aburgesson at remax.net for your commercial real estate needs. And let's see here, JC said go back to 11:17 your time.
Yeah, my time, my bad.
No,
I was thinking about
that. Yeah, it's interesting how it does reflect that on both. Man, it's not that far back, but it is a lot. Who are we looking at, Jim?
Yeah, hang on. Let me answer this thing here. People
the loyalty question. Yeah, and so
Jim brings up an interesting point. Mm-hmm. Devil's advocate for the sake of discussion. He says, you can't fire coordinators in a school like USC and expect to recruit high-level talent. Question is, when does the loyalty end? Fire a guy after one season, who are you going to get in here? Well, that's more of a head coach thing. And I'll remind everybody, Steve Spurrier made six coaching changes after 2008, and the Gamecocks signed one of the best classes they've ever signed. You're talking Alshon Jeffrey, Devontae Holloman, Stephon Gilmore. DeMario Jeffrey was a big-time recruit in that class. DJ Swearinger came in that class. Justice Cunningham came in that class. I mean, a lot of dudes that put a lot of winning football for Carolina. So I don't think it's mutually exclusive. I'll also remind you that the coordinators have been here for 2 years, and so, I think obviously Beamer should have made the move after last season. But he went out and did his job. And the recruiting staff did their job and got players in here because that was the narrative last year. Oh, 4 quarterbacks. I mean, you heard that over and over again. And unfortunately, all of us that said, no, this scheme sucks, were right. Yeah. And I take no pleasure in that, man, because this Gamecock team this year had too many good players to leave some of the performances on the field that they did. And Keith broke down the stats. It's irrefutable, okay? This offense does nothing. I mean, it hasn't – in games where the Gamecocks have scored over 30 against decent competition, they've done so because their special teams and defense have given them a kick, right? And so it's just unfortunate. And if we hadn't seen games where guys like people are like JC, but what about they don't have any players? Well, no, that's not true. And we've seen when guys get an opportunity and are put in the right position, we've seen guys make big time plays.
Yeah.
I mean, how can you look at Juice Wells and be like, oh, he's just one of our few receivers? No, he's the best receiver you have by a mile. And the other ones aren't bad. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, this is a much better group of receivers. So, Bell's, now the big answer is to put Bell at running back. I don't know that he's a running back, and I certainly don't think you keep slamming him into a brick wall. I mean, it's just ridiculous. But you make a good point, Jim, in terms of in general turnover. You want to avoid it really for recruiting purposes. But I mean, it's at the point now where you can go recruit all you want. I mean, they recruited a lot of good players last year, plugged them in, didn't work. I mean, somebody told me Austin Stogner played 4 plays in the first half Saturday, and I'm just like, what? Now he's on a milk carton. Just when he started getting going in those games a couple of weeks ago, Stogner starts to get going, right? And boom, he's out, doesn't play. That happens guys, that's happened over and over and over again. Look, going back to last year, Juju McDowell saved the daggum game for the Gamecocks at East Carolina. He saved the day. If it weren't for his kickoff return and 71 rushing yards running outside.
Yeah, I was going to say, it wasn't because he was running up the middle either.
No, I mean, they wouldn't have won. They would have lost to East Carolina, a decent but not great East Carolina team last year. And then against Georgia, he didn't even play. This is the next week. And so they don't really even have an offense. So anyway, thanks for that, Jim. 8JM2 says the bad news, I feel more confident that I was right about Rattler and Bell being overrated. The good news is maybe Satterfield isn't as bad as we think. Maybe he's hamstrung.
Did we get that inverted somehow? I mean, we've got 2 proven commodities and 1 question mark. I think we might have those in the wrong side.
Yeah.
JM, but I mean, hey, maybe we're all wrong, and none of the 3 of them are as good as the hype. But
I think Bell is just the usage of him is baffling still. At least he's touching the ball now. I think like Keith said, Rattler's paralyzed. He's that made me think of the Ricky Bobby. I'm paralyzed. Remember that? He stabbed himself in the leg with a knife. He's like, ah! Don't you put that evil on me, Ricky Bobby. So yeah, I'm not ready to throw overrated out there. I mean, is Spencer Rattler, was he the number 1 quarterback in that class? And
and here's the thing. It was like, okay, so at the end of the season, are you willing to keep Bell and Rattler over Satterfield? Or would you rather get rid of Satterfield and hopefully try to keep Bell and Rattler to see what they do under somebody else?
I'm taking the players. Yeah, this is a no-brainer for me.
Yeah.
Philip says Shane hasn't fired Sat because he's not going to. At best, Sat will walk when his contract's up. Shane thinks things are going well and is confused as to why things don't translate from practice. That's what he says to the media, Philip, but he's not. Shane's not just oblivious. Okay. That there would be bigger problems if that was the case.
Yeah.
So I can assure you, it's not. And the Satterfield contract ends December 31st. Honestly, don't think you can wait that long because of the portal and everything else. But hey, you're talking about a month, so you don't have to buy it out.
No,
that's a positive.
And if it's the board you're worried about, paying them for not doing anything, like, well, hell, that's what we're doing right now anyway.
Yeah. It's like Shane may believe that Satterfield isn't the problem, and I don't think any of us can say definitively that he's wrong. I don't think Shane believes that, but if he did, I can definitively say that that's wrong. I mean, you've seen it. I mean, I don't know what more proof we need. About you want to go throw these players under the bus? Fine, do it. And when they're in the NFL making plays on Sunday, and you're wondering why didn't they do that at South Carolina? Yeah, come talk to me. 8JM2, and I say that with all respect. I think I just don't think I don't think there's any question that Satterfield's the problem, or the offense. Let's just say the offense. So that's the deal. Hey, Cavalier says, hey, curious as to what would have happened had Mike Bobo stayed. I think Bobo would have probably things would have made a lot more sense on offense last year. I mean, I think the run game wouldn't have fallen off a cliff like it did last year. What would he have done at quarterback and all that? That's another question, to have. But certainly, I think Mike Bobo was really good at taking what he had and scheming teams up. If you notice, and this never happens with Marcus Satterfield, right? So everybody in the country in 2020 knew when you played South Carolina, you got to stop Shi Smith because that's their only receiver. Still, Bobo would call plays and scheme this kid open, right? Mike Bobo also did a good job that year of working around weaknesses on the offensive line. In other words, he wasn't running it behind Eric Douglas against a 413-pound nose tackle. He was hitting another gap. And so that kind of thing. I just think the offense would have been cleaner, would have made more sense, all that. And Mike Bobo's also, I mean, it's a kind of a pro-ish style offense. It's got its roots with Mark Richt, Bobby Bowden, all that. It's been modified. He likes 22 personnel, 21 personnel, all that. But it's a college offense. So it's not like it's crazy. He actually did name one of his plays. It's called Demon. It's that kind of thing. It's easier to learn than what the heck they're doing. 8JM2s, I think it's getting harder and harder to argue that we have a bunch of really good players that he just can't use. How? 8JM2, how is this a hard argument?
Yeah.
You've seen these guys make plays. Have you seen them make plays?
When given the opportunity.
Yeah. And I just went through this and said, Bobo scheme guys open. That's what offensive coordinators do. And they put their best players on the field. Did you not just hear me say Austin Steiner's all of a sudden disappeared? So I don't think this is even an argument. I don't even think this is a debate. And I'm not responding to anything else that comes in with that. I'm not trying to be rude. I just move on. I don't think you're right. Bullish Nazima Rebel says G.A. Mangus or Joe Brady. Not sure that either one of them will get it. James Churchill says, I'm scrolling down, Beamer needs his Chad Morris. AJM2 is just arguing for the sake of arguing. So we're just going to scroll on down here.
Mm-hmm.
Pruitt said no. All right. So the only person Beamer taught to call plays was Kitchens. You can't tell me Step would turn down an opportunity. These guys they can't run I mean, I suppose they could, but man, I mean, with all the stuff that this offense is, I mean, I just, and look, there may be an interim play caller for the bowl. I mean, I'm not dismissing that. I mean, in fact, I think there should be, but that's also like 2 weeks worth of prep time. You can scale back, you can get, plays you're comfortable with, all that. Doing it like in a week is tough.
Yeah. I mean, best case scenario is if you were to let Satterfield go right now and Step was going to be the interim answer, would be to just pull the plug now, do whatever it is, start, planning for it during this Tennessee game that you more than likely are not going to win if we're, looking at it honestly. And then maybe with 2 weeks of a simplified version of what it is somebody else wants to do, you have a shot when you come up to Clemson. And then that'd be 6 weeks almost until your bowl. Well, we got to figure the bowl game's probably going to be pretty early at this point, so it might be a month. But anyway, I mean, 2 more weeks? 2 weeks.
The good news on the bowl game is a lot of teams like losing this weekend helps Carolina's bowl slot.
Yeah, right? That's true.
Kentucky going down to Vandy. I told you guys, Mark. See, y'all need to listen to me about this. Like, it sounds all great to go up to that. Let's just be like the Rams or the Niners. It's not a different sport, but it's a different game up there, folks. Different game up there. Matt points out Bobo averaged more points per game versus 10 SEC opponents with Colin Hill, one wide receiver, and a bunch of young guys that Satterfield has this year.
Yeah.
That's true. That's the honest to God truth. People hate on Bobo all the time. And look, that season was not pretty. There's nothing pretty about it. And I understand people getting upset about him taking Auburn. I mean, it's just a career decision he made. Doesn't make him a bad person. Unfortunately, that things didn't work out in that dumpster fire. But, the bottom line is offensive coordinator that year was the least of the concerns. Quarterback was, I'll be honest there. And I think, I think some people overestimated Colin Hill's ability a little bit, including myself. But, I just, Brian says Bobo had Van and Bell as well. Well, Bell didn't play a lot that year, Brian, because he was coming off an injury, and Van hurt himself and I think was out for the whole – did Van – was he out for the year that year? Did he get hurt? He got hurt in 19. He was coming back in 2020. But look, Brian, another thing to keep in mind too, Jaheim Bell wasn't Jaheim Bell then. He was a freshman coming off an ACL injury. And Josh Van certainly wasn't Josh Van. Justin Stepp got Josh Van a lot better, in other words. Rumor is that Matt Rule toured Nebraska. Maybe he can stop and pick up Sat on his next trip. Evan says, I think changing coordinators might get a nod from Sat. Hey, let's throw him off by changing play callers. Come, Mr. Bigglesworth. We're taking this week off.
That's right. We just won't show up, and then we'll come back when we play in Clemson.
I'm going to give I'll get shut out yet again. 0 points. 0 points. Come, Mr. Bigglesworth. We're going to throw them off by giving Justin Stepp 1 million plays to run.
1 million plays.
I got an evil. Let's give Spencer Rattler 13 different audibles, 23 words apiece. Take his iPad away.
It's almost comical at this point, as inefficient and just ham-handed as it is. You got to laugh to keep from crying at this point.
My boy Trell has a good point. He says, is the defense's effort attributed to knowing the offense is hopeless? Not excuse making, but I feel like it's a factor. I think it can be in certain games, certainly.
Yeah.
I think Saturday the defense needed something good to happen early to kind of get their heads in the game a little bit, because honestly I was like, even first drive, and Carolina had forced some third downs, and unfortunately Florida converted them on that first drive. But I thought, the energy just wasn't there for some reason. And Carolina obviously kicked off to Florida, but, drive number 2, drive number 3, certainly, that could have played a factor. And I just think the defense looked very lethargic for most of it. And most of the team did. Amazingly, some of the same players get out there on special teams and they're jumping around and got the great energy. And that's weird. That was crazy.
And maybe they like that coordinator better than they like their other coordinator.
Maybe so. Jeffrey says, I thought about y'all, JC and Phil. I wondered how y'all do break down this double train wreck. Enjoyed the show. Yeah, look, man. I get texts like that. Oh, I feel sorry for you this week and all this other stuff because of the board and the show and everybody's be upset. But I'm used to it by now, and we have a good time, on the show, and, win or lose, we're having fun, man. And I'll tell you this, Coach O Endless Summer, I recorded a voicemail for my buddy that used to work for Coach O. And I think that's going to be a thing. I'm going to try to work on some t-shirts. It's part of the evil plan not to play Amos or Doty ever mad says. Well, Doty's they're probably trying to keep Luke's red shirt from what Shane Beamer said the other day. And that's fine. Amos, I'd try him. I'd have tried him the other day.
Why not?
Because if you're only going to give Juju the ball twice, and you're worried about running him, I don't know. Heck, I think Herschel Walker or Marcus Lattimore in their prime would have had trouble getting going.
Yeah, even with good pad level and churning legs, it would have been tough to run through that wall. And we just didn't try to go outside enough. Hardly at all. It was just it's
crazy. You didn't. Where's the little pass they like to throw in the flat? Because the flat was open. Anyway.
But then you throw it to the perimeter for those little wide receiver screens that you say aren't screens, and the speed of the Florida defense, which we all knew was a strength coming into this game, is there. You get nothing. So
all right. Yeah. Joel, positive Joel. Hey guys, I knew the football disaster was coming. You guys are doing great. Yeah, but how about that basketball game? Positive Joel.
Yeah.
He told me to call him realistic Joel from now on. So
realistic Joel. Okay. Yeah. I'm down with
realistic
that. Yeah.
Joel is in Columbia, and I'm sorry, in Kentucky. I'm sorry. And they had some snow. Didn't get any snow in Illinois. Supposed to get some Tuesday. Really looking forward to that, Phil. That snow, you know.
Oh, yeah.
Down in the South, you know, everybody's like, hey, it's snowing. Everybody gets out in the yard, and some of the people, like my friend Jan, he'll get out there and run around and do snow videos and stuff. And it's a highlight, you know, it's a holiday. Up here, it's just like you just kind of feel dread when the snow starts falling. It's like The Shining. So, anyway, we got to wrap it up. Appreciate that kind of kept you over here, guys, because I know a lot of people are hurting, and you know it is disappointing. Everybody wants the Gamecocks to do well, man, and unfortunately, you know, some changes have to be made, I think, before you can start watching, you know, watching this program ascend a little bit. Because they're, you know, with this offense, they're never going to be better than a 6 or 7 win team ever. But with this guy calling plays and running offense, it's going to get worse because he's not going to be able to find any players. I mean, you may as well run a triple option. You may as well hire the guy from Army.
Yeah.
You're not going to be able to recruit to this anyway. You may as well have some kind of strategic advantage. But anyway,
to be a special planning. Yeah,
I'm for Chunk, says Tennessee Gamecock prediction. I'm like, we'll get to that later this week.
Yeah, Friday.
Just gotta hope they don't hang half 100. Anyway, for Phil Mullinax, this is JC Sherbert. This has been Inside the Gamecocks, the show. We appreciate you joining us, and we'll be back tomorrow with more great